Hi, my name is Avril Louise Clarke, and I am a clinical sexologist and the project manager for the porn conversation. I'm really excited to be here today to present to this wonderful audience of the Relearn Festival. The mission of the Porn Conversation is it is a nonprofit project that offers free and easily accessible tools for parents, guardians, and educators to talk to the younger generation about sex, beginning with the topic of porn. So you might be thinking, why porn, right? And we're going to get to that very, very shortly. So, the idea behind the porn conversation was, we do believe that it is necessary to start these conversations about sex with your children at home, right? So, 82% of parents talk to their kids about sex at least once in their life, which is typically known as the talk, right? But they tend to leave out the more complicated topics that are not as easy to discuss. So, just by approaching this as in, we're not just going to make it a talk, we're going to make it a conversation, is already kind of changing the typical traditional way that we used to see the talk and how we discuss these things with our children. So, although it may not seem like it to all those who are parents to teens, teens actually believe that their parents are their biggest influence when it comes to making decisions about sex. So, it's important to share your values with your children, of course. The idea of the porn conversation is to expand to the schools by providing a curriculum and activity guide, right? Because although home is a great place to start, the reality is not everyone will feel like they are given the right uh, information at home. We understand it's not an easy conversation to have. So by providing comprehensive sex education at school, uh, there can be, a big change in the attitudes and behaviors of our youth. There's a massive need for comprehensive sex ed programs at schools, but many schools lack the funding and resources. And we are seeing that although in some areas of the world, when sex ed is provided at schools, it tends to be extremely sex negative, heteronormative, and non inclusive, especially to the marginalized communities. Now, young people today, they express a frustration about the lack of information on sexuality and sexual behavior. Um, that they do see that's included in these sex ed programs in schools. And many sexual and gender minority youths in particular are feeling very overlooked by these current approaches. So you might have been thinking, why the porn conversation, right? Why this name? And why do we have to talk about porn, right? Well, the reality is that porn is the new sex ed. As much as we don't like it to be, right? When sex ed is not given to kids and teens at school, and when they're not having these conversations with their parents either, uh, it's only natural that they become curious about sex, right? They become curious about their bodies, and without this age appropriate information and evidence-based sex ed, they are going to learn about sex through what they find online, right? And in many cases, this might very well be pornography. So another big issue in today's sex education is that it's just not inclusive, right? Sex ed leaves out the communities that are, disabled, the LGBTQ plus community out of the conversation. And they're providing very heteronormative information to these students, meaning the assumption that everyone in the room is straight, right? And this lack of representation and inclusivity really fails our children, right? It fails to provide our youth the information they need to lead healthy lives, right? Without the information and without the support from their elders and their educators and their parents, we really, really need to make sure that they're making the right choices. Sex education today can be insanely sex negative. So you may have heard the term sex positive, right? So what does it mean to be sex negative? This is when many students are taught to feel that sex is inherently bad or it's dirty or it's secret or it's something that we don't talk about, right? But not providing factual information, the choices they have and the consequences of them only leads to poor decision making. Now, let's talk about the issue with online pornography. Now, if a student or a child or teen goes to find about sex online through pornography, we can assume that they are seeing the promotion of various topics that are just not healthy to apply in their lives, right? So, what does online pornography provide them with? It promotes the unrealistic expectations of sex and healthy relationships, non consensual sex, unsafe sex practices, misogyny, rape culture, objectification of women, racism, the sexualization of young teens, and of course, violence. So, why should we talk about porn? The average age a kid first encounters porn is 11 years old and as young as 8 years old. Teens age 6 to 17 got most of their information about sex from porn. And the Huffington Post found that porn sites receive more regular traffic than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined each month. Now, these are extraordinary numbers, right? So, through pop ups, maybe their own curiosity, a meme, a social media post, advertisements, our youth today will likely be exposed to pornographic content before we even know. The source of online sex culture is all encompassing, and there's no way we can continue to ignore it. A major part of the porn conversation is encouraging our youth to be critical, right? And safe about what they are seeing and partaking in online. So, Porn Conversation has decided to touch on various topics that we might be able to discuss with our students and with our children, either at home or at school, that are really going to help them grow into being mindful, thoughtful, sexually safe adults. By discussing issues such as gender and sexuality, identity, sexual orientation, consent and boundaries, diversity and inclusion, sexual health, contraceptives and STIs, sex and disabilities, body positivity, healthy relationships, online safety, and much, much more. We are going to have these important discussions to make sure that they are hearing the right information and they see that they have the support they've been seeking. Now, a big part of having a successful comprehensive sex ed program is making sure that the students are receiving age appropriate information, right? So the Porn Conversation has divided all our content into 3 different age groups. We have children 8 to 11, which are the Gen Z kids, 12 to 15, which are the Gen Z tweens, and 16 plus, who are the Gen Z teens. Now, by providing all this information into different age groups, we're going to make sure that they hear about the topics that are not only some things that they may be starting to be curious at that age, but they might be seeing within their own changes, especially when they're going through the stages of puberty. So, as a nonprofit project, all our materials are free and easily accessible. We have conversation guides for parents and guardians, and this will kind of guide you on how to speak to your kids at home. We have curricula and activities for educators, animated educational videos that are going to be touching on a series of different topics throughout the curriculum. And we will be providing online workshops and Q&As by sexual health professionals and a chatbot for 13 plus teens to ask questions and get kind of the information that they've been seeking, instead of just typing it into Google, making sure that, you know, this is real evidence-based answers and support that they need. So the conversation guides, right, are the heart of the porn conversation, because we believe that the best sex education begins in the home and talking with our children. We understand though that having, you know, the talk, the conversation at home is not always easy, right? So we provide information regarding their child's current development in that stage of their life. We talk about how to initiate the conversation. We give examples of phrases, and we also give, you know, tips on what to say, what not to say. How do you give supportive answers? And also, what do you do when your child doesn't feel like opening up to you at that point? What are things that you can say so you let them know that, you know, they can always come back, right? We give information on expanding on different topics, and obviously also how to keep the conversation going. The curriculum is very, very essential for educators today, especially the educators who are told to teach sex ed at school, but they haven't really received the proper training or feel like they are ready to breach these subjects with their students, right? So each curriculum for each age group is divided into 7 different topics. We have anatomy and physiology, puberty and adolescent sexual development, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation and identity, sexual health, consent and healthy relationships, and interpersonal violence. Now, our curriculum was developed by myself, a clinical sexologist and sex educator. All of the materials will be downloadable material that's easily accessible for educators to use within the classroom. And of course, in each section, we do have animated educational videos that will accompany the topics and, you know, are really speak to the children and speak to the teens in a way that is relatable, fun, and of course, educational and real. Now, when putting together the porn conversation curriculum, there had to have been some key values that we could stay in line with. And so these include, you know, believing that porn is not sex education, right? We believe that our curriculum should be comprehensive. So that means that it should include accurate information that thoroughly teaches students and gives them the knowledge and the attitudes, the skills, the values to make appropriate and healthy choices in their sexual lives. We made sure that all the information that is included in the curriculum is evidence-based. And we follow the Future of Sex Education Initiative of 2020, their national sex education standards. Our program and curriculum is pleasure-based, right? Meaning that it is sex positive, right? We don't believe in sending our students any mixed messages, right? Because we want to make sure that they're getting the right information. If they're hearing about sex or seeing things online and including online pornography, the responsible thing to do is to ensure that they have the most accurate and honest information, because this allows them, the best chance of having a healthy life. And pleasure is inherently about feeling happy and fulfilled. And I believe that this is something that we would all wish upon the youth, right? We want them to be happy. We want them to feel fulfilled. So no one should ever feel bad about wanting to learn about sex. Also, the curriculum is inclusive, right? So no matter the gender, the sex, the class, sexuality, religion, disability, or physical appearance, we aim to present a curriculum that is inclusive and intersectional, right? So providing a sex ed program that doesn't leave any student in the classroom to feel uncomfortable, ashamed, not included. This is something that we really strive in our approach to this program. And finally, of course, by promoting academic growth and critical thinking, we're making sure that we're providing different methods, and we're, allowing cooperation among the students in the classroom by giving some activities for them to not only feel like they're being lectured to, but they feel like they're understanding the material, and they're able to prove that through the different activities that they can do at home or with their fellow classmates. And so making it fun, making sex ed fun is something that is really, really important to the porn conversation, right? We want the students to feel engaged and in control of what they are learning, and also to feel included. So whether it's at home, in school, the whole mission of the porn conversation is just to have that, that inclusivity and have that comprehensive feel that is really going to change and redefine what sex education is today. I really, really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you all in the Q&A following, and I will be joined by Paulo Dobner, who is the co-founder of the Porn Conversation and a father of 2 girls himself. So thank you, and I will see you there.